Well, here's something I haven't had for a while. That is a viewer repair request. This is from a chap called Gary. I met at one of the model railway shows and he was talking about it, so he sent it in and I'm going to have a look at it. Will I get it running? Well, I hope so. Hi there YouTubers, and welcome to another servicing video from Sort 6233. And on the bench we can see this is an F9 locomotive. It's a chassis system and it's made by Bachmann. Comes round, you just catch Bachmann in the bottom plate, and back on here it says China. It's got a nice shiny cover. I don't know if that's meant to be like that, but I do like this livery. Isn't it nice? The yellow, the orange and the black. And what's that? C&O, Cleveland and Ohio, I believe that is, and the running number 7071. Doesn't look too bad until you look closely. One of the horns is broken off. The steps are missing on both sides at the back, and if I turn it round to the front, if you can just catch this, it might be better looking underneath actually. And that is the cow catcher, seems to be broken there. So I wonder if this has suffered a fall, and maybe that's just jarred something out of position. I don't think it'll do any harm to apply a little bit of power, so I've got it on the test track. I'm just going to wind the power up a little bit and it should move. Oh, it does. So I'm going to change the direction, and it's certainly trying to go. It's not the fastest greyhound in the track, but it's certainly moving. Bit of a struggle. And I notice that the lights are on. In fact, the lights come on here regardless of the direction, so it's probably just a simple filament bulb. Well, I think the next thing is try and investigate and see if we can get this back running for Gary. The upper casing seems to be held on by a couple of little clips, one on each side, so perhaps just by pulling the chassis apart, put my fingernails in, seems to be working. Oh, there we go. And then carefully, I find you have to kind of twist the coupler through there, and there's a familiar Bachmann split chassis. So what should I do? Well, I think it might just need a bit of cleaning and lubricating. It's had a knock. The thing I'm noticing is that the couplers aren't broken, so that's a good sign. I will need to check out these gears. Right, okay. Let's see, we get this chassis apart, get the motor out. Probably just a good cleaning loop. These split chassis from Bachmann are usually held together by a couple of screws. Depending on the size of it, there could be a third one, but here we've only got two with crosshead screws. Undo that, undo that. Carefully lift one half of the chassis, two screws, and there are two insulation washers that you need to make sure go back. There's one, and there's two, and the bogies have just come away from the shell. That's a drive shaft. Take those apart. put those aside. And the motor, I'm just going to put a little mark on the motor to show which end was at the top. There. Okay, so it means I've got less problems putting it back in. And this is the motor. And wouldn't do any harm to try and clean the commutator. A lot of gunge on there. Lubricate it, check the brushes. Yeah, okay, so let's start on that. First of all, I'm going to remove the brushes. Now, I have to admit, I made a bit of a mistake with another locomotive, and that is I activated this tension plate too much and it's broken off. So I've got a perfectly good motor, but I can't apply power to it. So I'm going to be ultra careful in future. Take that off. That releases the springs, which can then be picked up, and that should allow the brush to come out. These sometimes don't come out very easily, so I'll do the same on this side. Out there. There we go, ease the spring out. And the brush can come later. Oh, and the filament bulb has just popped out. Right, okay, the brushes I can deal with later. I'm just keeping this safely, and I'm now going to clean and lubricate the armature, clean the commutator where I can, probably with some cotton bud and some metal polish. I've acquired some T-cut, so I probably will use that for a while until I get more grasso. My grasso virtually dried up. This plastic cover, basically an insulating shield, which when the motor goes in to the casing, there's very little clearance. So this is an insulating shield around the motor to let it sit safely in the casing. Okay, I'm going to have a quick look at the bogies, 2 axles of course, and I'm going to use my screwdriver to activate the drive. And what I'm going to do is look for hesitation or jumping or listen for clicking. And I'm watching the big idler, and that's almost a full circle. I don't feel or hear anything untoward. These heavier axle gears seem to be a bit more robust than the smaller ones. Let's just check out bogie number 2. The same way. So they seem okay, so I should be quite confident if I just take it to bits, clean the axles, lubricate the gears, this should be pretty good. One thing I have noticed is that this bogie has got a pair of traction tyres on the drive wheels and this one doesn't. So I didn't check which way these come off, but I'm going to make this one. Oh, there we go, I'm going to make this one the rear bogie, pushing the locomotive rather than put it at the front, pulling the locomotive. Okay, so I'll get all that done off camera. I don't suppose there's any interest. Just stripping off, these things should unclip. Yep. So I can do that, and then these pickup plates, which look pretty gungy, they'll need to be cleaned and polished both sides both bogies, and then the axles and so on. So, fairly straightforward job. I'll get that done. I'll see what it looks like afterwards. The wheels are push on into the axles, so you just release them by pushing them out, and when they go back in, they sort of fix their own back to back, but I can check that at the end. Quite firm to take out, so I'm assuming that the gears are going to be okay. So I'll get these cleaned, and that allows me, I think, to remove the gears from underneath. Yep. And this one. And the main one is held in by a centre pin just there. I did have a little gadget to help me get it out. I'll find it and we'll come back and see how we get it out. This is a little watch repairer's tool. It's for taking the pins out of the straps. So that just fits nicely in there. Out comes the axle and the idler wheel drops out. This one gear is held in simply by it's held in there. Yeah, anyway, easily got out. You've got the levering, and that'll come out. Haha, that'll come out. Oh yes, he said. There we go. I should have rehearsed this one. There we go. Well, that's it all stripped down. I'll hopefully leave the coupler intact. But the rest of it can be cleaned of any residual grease. Put it back on, apply some fresh grease, and that one should be ready to go. And then I shall repeat the process with this bogie. When it comes to cleaning these pickup plates, there are 3 points of contact that have to be examined. The ends of the arms, they go behind the wheels, and the top of the arch, which rubs against the chassis half, providing power to the poles of the motor. So, a bit of metal polish. I'm using T-cut. Clean each of the arms. I'll do these first, then turn them over. Wiping them. Both sides. There and there. Then with the clean end of the cotton bud, I'm just going to wipe all that metal polish off. That's 4 of them done. Right. Now I'm going to just wipe the arch carefully because it's quite fragile, and I'll do that with the other 3. With all the parts of the bogie cleaned, it's now time for reassembly. 2 refurbished bogies ready to go into the chassis. It's about time I cleaned the inside of these chassis frames. Just going to remove this insulating washer. Oops, I'm going to lose it. So this is the dried grease, probably factory grease. Bit of methylated spirits this time, because I'm running short of IPA. Go in there. Scrape out some of this grease in there. And this side too. Okay. Okay, it's time for reassembly. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these stem nuts and feed them into the chassis moulding. And something a bit neat to get in. There we go. And in order to hold them there, I'm just going to apply a little bit of grease here, and that paradoxically acts like a mild adhesive and holds the washer in place. So same over here, slide it through, very neat, and it goes. A bit of grease around there, and the washer pushes on, push the stem nut through, and there we go. So now that will hold it in place roughly while I'm reassembling. The motor sits snugly into here, oops, and the pole rests against a little pip in the moulding. So that sits in there. Then I take the bogies, fit the drive shaft, checking I've got the right bogie, the one without traction tyres at the front. The front being determined by the nose of the locomotive, where the light is, and similarly in here. That sits in like so. Just checking that's in, that's good. These things are so delicately positioned that movement in one part causes displacement somewhere else. Anyway, we're now just about ready. So, to sit the other half on top, I have a number of things to check. These arch contacts will have to sit at the bottom of the chassis, but we can line those up later on. Right then, like that just fell out again. And then I've got to line up these arch contacts, these screws with the stem columns, and make sure that the motor is insulated and that the other contact in the motor matches a pip on the other half of the moulding. Simple. Right, point number 1, push the stem nut through, and I shall apply a screw to kind of hold it together. Not tight, of course, it's just to keep the two halves of the chassis together while I do the rest. And just getting it located. This side. So I've loosely put the screws in, that holds it together, and immediately I should be able to test to see if this is working. And that's looking good. Try it through the wheels. Of course, they might not work through the wheels because I haven't got the contacts lined up, but at least I know that the pickup to the motor is working. So now I can go back and check all the other connections. So after a full assembly and running the test here on my rolling road, but there's a clicking noise coming, and I think it's from this rear bogie. I checked the gears, I couldn't find any splits or cracks, but there's definitely clicking coming from this bogie. Well, nothing else for it. I've got to take that bogie out and see if I can find anything untoward. As a quick check, I've replaced this bogie with one from a decommissioned machine that hasn't been lubricated, no contacts on it and no couplers. So there's definitely something wrong in this one. So I'll just try and investigate more. Do you know what? I got it wrong. The problem wasn't in the rear bogie, it was in the front bogie. And I put in a substitute front bogie, and if I just run it, it's only running it on one pickup axle. It's running as quiet as it's going to be in my track, and it's shutting off like a good one. Whoops. So turn the power down a wee bit. That's not too bad at all, is it? Considering it's only powered from one axle, which is this one. Because these two are just dummies and they're not connected. But I had it running on my test track without any clicking. I had picked up the wrong bogie. So, where is the bogie? Yeah. So I stripped it down. So I'm going to put in a new set of gear wheels and reassemble it, put it in, and hopefully that should be that clicking problem solved. This time I think we have it. Yes, it goes nice and smooth. Changing over, not a lot of voltage there. Oh yes, that's much better. So I'm just going to set it up and let it run around the test track for a little while, and then I'll come and show you a video or two. Then we can finalise it by putting the case on, fitting the light in the case, and then getting it hauling a rake of wagons. Okay, see you soon. That looks and sounds rather good compared to what it was like when it came in. The note I got from Gary was it was a bit stuttery, probably I think stoppy starty, and I did find that, but it's amazing what a good strip down and lubrication rebuild can do. I had a couple of problems. Obviously that clicking noise from the bogies. For some reason or other I picked on the wrong bogie. But now, having refurbished the front bogie as well, it's now running pretty well. did have one or two other little minor problems, like trying to fix it together because the through nut, what I call a stem nut, didn't quite fit into the second half of the chassis. So I just had to ream out the hole a little bit. But after that, it seems to be going pretty well. And I haven't applied an awful lot of voltage, and it's running nicely. So I'll get the rebuild complete, and I'll hook it up, let it run around the track, and hopefully get a couple of interesting shots. Right, hopefully we can have a little bit of fun here. So let's just get the chassis moving. There it goes. Right, just going to activate the points. It should warn you that there's a bad section of track ahead or behind as it is, so come round, pick up the wagons, stuck there, that's my track. There it goes, up there. Activate points again and come back, pick up another couple of wagons, so look at that. And there. And finally a caboose. And I'm wondering if a caboose is as necessary now as a brake van. Now that we get diesel, we don't seem to use brake vans. But anyway, let's pull away and see what happens. Oh, I've left everything behind. It's probably coupling on this flatbed. So I'm just going to hook it all up and get them running. This time doesn't look bad at all. Very bright light at the front, isn't it? So I'll just bring it round and watch it pass, and then I'll leave it on test for a little while. Okay, I'll just let it run for a bit and then we'll tidy this video off quite shortly. I think I can safely wrap this restoration up. My Bachmann F9 from the Chessie system, number C&O7071. I was asked to repair this by a chap I met at one of the model rail shows. I think it's Glenrothes. He lives down Ayrshire direction. I'm almost tempted to take it back personally because I love Ayrshire, but I think it'll just go in the post. Anyway, just basically a stripped down, looks as if it had a knock. One of the bogies producing a clicking noise, the front bogie here, and just replaced the gears because I think I could see cracks. It didn't show up too well. Anyway, it's now running beautifully quiet and really quite nicely smooth. Other than that, just checking a bit of a glue to the front pilot guide here. Checking everything. Can't replace the horn, I'm afraid. I don't have a spare. So just have to live with that, and a couple of steps missing at the back. As I was repairing this, the name Gary rang a bell with me. I checked up and I did another repair for another Gary a few years ago. Not the same, I would say. So if your name is Gary and you get engaged repair, I think I'm your man. Although I should point out that other names are available. Anyway, I hope you like that, folks. If you do, please give me a comment. Hopefully give me a like. And if you like more engaged repairs and you haven't already done so, you might want to subscribe. Right, take care everybody. Until the next time, for me, it's bye for now.